right beneath the Kentucky border. It's East Tennessee, but it's about, I don't know, an hour's drive, maybe even a little bit more through back roads east of Kingsport. Are you familiar with Lincoln Memorial, the D2 Power?
Not really.
Okay.
No, I have not heard anything.
I was giving them some coverage when they were in the D2 tournament last year, and by the way, I got to go on here right away. But and they've got a local product in their coaching staff, and they were all talking about we're trying to get into the A-Sun. So didn't happen last year, but it's something to look forward to, I guess, or ask around. But all right, here we go. Well, if you were watching on Facebook, you saw or heard some interesting, pre-interview talk with myself and a guy who's really becoming possibly, and I know this is subjective, but really one of the top sports columnists. He is one of the top, if not the top sports columnist in the entire state. Joe Rexrode, writing for the Tennessean. And one of your most recent pieces was Vols earned their SEC championship and our apologies. After all, Tennessee has won the SEC, I guess finishing second on tiebreakers, but in one way that you can counted a co-champion with Auburn. And they are, after being picked 13th to start the year. That's an old story. But you like the Vols' chances to win in tournament play. Joe Rexrode, why is that?
Well, first of all, thanks for the kind words, Mark. I appreciate that. And yeah, well, look, I guess maybe more that I just wouldn't dismiss them. I mean, it's so hard to, look, a bad matchup's a bad matchup, and most teams are not matchup proof this time of year. Mm-hmm. So I wouldn't say the Vols are matchup proof by any means. My coworker Mike Wilson, who pretty new at the Knoxville News Sentinel, but he does a good job covering the Vols. He brought up a point the other day. Look at what Alabama did to the Vols. Now that's one night. You go on the road to college basketball, and here and there you're going to have a stinker. Vols didn't have many this year though. Like that was such a throttling, and Colin Sexton was such a problem for them. I think the big dominant guards could be a problem, but I also think that they are a problem for anyone with those two forwards. It's a really unique situation to have Grant Williams and Admiral Schofield. And now it's Schofield. Grant Williams, player of the year in the SEC, which is great for him, well-deserving. There were a few guys who could have been right there. But Admiral Schofield lately is playing so well. It's really, a lot of teams would take one of those guys, and that would be their five in college basketball anymore. You got basically a power forward playing the five and then four perimeter guys. The Vols start out with the true center in Kyle Alexander and both of those guys on the floor, and they're versatile enough to be able to go out and chase around a perimeter guy, and they can step out and hit shots, and of course do a lot of damage around the basket. And then they just play good team defense. And when their guards don't hurt them, they're a good team. When their guards have those nights where they're hitting shots and moving the ball and playing really well, then I think they're more in the range of a great team. So, can the guards step up in March? If so, I really think they could be playing for a while.
Well, it's interesting you mention that because at the end of your column, Joe Rexrode of the Tennessean, you mentioned guard play is all the talk when the NCAA tournament begins. And you talk about, okay, maybe there's going to be inconsistency. You never know how you're going to shoot from the outside, this sort of thing. But I know that Steve Forbes, the coach at ETSU, often talks about in tournament play, he wants to have a strong center. He wants to go old school, if you will. You need the base, all this. Do you think, obviously they were tremendous scorers, as you wrote in your piece, Admiral Schofield, 23 points on Saturday against Georgia, 22 from Grant Williams, but can they play that backcourt mode that would allow Tennessee to not only win their opening SEC tournament game tomorrow, but make some noise in the SEC tournament and possibly the NCAA tournament?
Yeah, and that's interesting that Steve said that. And, the great example that I always point to is, we talk a lot about guard play. Of course it's important. It's always important in basketball. But think back to those four back-to-back national championship teams of 06 and 07. And again, everybody remembers who the 3, 4, and 5 were. Brewer, Horford, and Noah. The guards were fine. They had some good guards. They were okay. Lee Humphries hit threes because people had to help off him all day. But that team was totally driven by its front court. So there's just different ways to do it. But, yeah, I mean, you can't ever get away from – you can't, eliminate guard play as a factor. And, with Tennessee's – I mean, I like Jordan Bone. I think he's a talented player. I think when he attacks the rim and he thinks create for others, he's better. And sometimes, he just seems to have ups and downs in that way. James Daniel, obviously if he can come out and hit a few shots for you, that helps a lot. And then, I really like Lamonte Turner's fearlessness. I mean, they don't win a share of the SEC if not for him, stepping up and taking a couple huge shots and making a couple huge shots against Georgia Saturday night. So, but even with him, there are times you're like, oh, that shot selection, what are you doing? And, so those guys all at times, can get exposed by the really, really good opposition. But I think also their best games this year, they kind of fit in seamlessly with the ball strengths, which of course to me are those two forwards. So I still think too, when it comes down to it, defense is a consistent thing you can rely on. Defense travels, defense works on neutral sites, and that team defense that they played in the second half against Georgia, which, if anybody watched Georgia last night, bomb Vanderbilt. I know Vanderbilt's not good, but Georgia is a talented team. When they hit shots, they're really tough to deal with. And the ball's completely stifled them in the second half, and that defense can advance you in this tournament, and in the next two tournaments.
Let me just go sidetrack a little bit. Fox, Georgia, do you think he stays for the next season, or do you think he gets the axe? Did that victory save his job, is my question.
I think maybe he could save himself this weekend, but right now, if I had to guess, my guess is that he's gone. Barring some magic in St. Louis, far beyond beating Vanderbilt. And, Georgia, Missouri is really interesting today, by the way. Michael Porter Jr. finally going to play. Beat Missouri in St. Louis with him playing.
Mm-hmm.
Start feeling better, but I think he's a good coach, good guy in the game. But I get the sense that I'm really thin ice right now.
Well, a lot of it we look at is how does this affect ETSU and Steve Forbes? One might think that if Georgia came open, okay, there's a potential job. Pitt came open today. I look at certain circumstances. There's also a report, I don't know if you saw this, where he talked at UTEP. And we were sort of like, why would you talk to UTEP? Because you're making $650 a year at ETSU now. And, frankly, that's what UTEP's going to pay you. Is this that much more prestigious than ETSU in 2018? Are the UTEP Miners? It's not 1966 anymore, and so a lot of people were really surprised to see that. Still, though, I think that there are some certain elements as age, show cause, not making the NCAAs this year that might actually, and certainly his salary, that might keep ETSU the home of Steve Forbes for a while. But Georgia is a place that some have speculated if they do fire Fox, he might go to. Hey, I do want to ask you, though, you mentioned the guard play in your story. Josh Gassaway, who's an ESPN analyst, was very skeptical about the Vols' chances of winning in the NCAA tournament because, as he points out, Tennessee shot worse from two-point range than its opponents during conference play. Did you have a chance, Joe Rexrode, to see this piece that was actually written, not only did Gassaway talk about it, but it was also written in an article by Wes Rucker. Have you had a chance to see that piece by any chance?
I did, yeah. That was the piece with the 343 teams that can't win it, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I did peruse that, and he makes an interesting point. I like John Gassaway a lot, and I like the numbers, and usually some of those things, a lot of it is, your offensive and defensive overall efficiency. Every year you've got Luke Wynn, you see from Sports Illustrated, take this pool of teams. It's going to be someone from this pool, and usually they're right. It usually is to win it. And look, I'm not sitting here saying I think the Vols are going to be in San Antonio winning this thing. And that's a fair point. The 2-point percentage, it tells you something, but it doesn't always. None of these stats are definitive, and so I still think Tennessee. For what? I mean, they're going to be like a 3. Okay, so they should win a game, and then they're going to play probably, and then they would probably play a 6. And then if they're in Nashville,
you're being kinder to Gasaway than I am, because I kind of think looking at the 2-point shots is an antiquated thing. I like looking at the 3-point shots. I think that's the future of the game. I only have 30 seconds to ask you this, but I want to ask you this. So as short of an answer you can get, you write in your column that there's an old adage that Tennessee fans don't care about basketball. How does it compare? You've covered Michigan State. How does it compare, the economy, football and basketball, to, well, you know what? I'm going to have very little time to ask this, but to get an answer. So I'll take the answer off the air. How about I do that? But I want to ask you what the difference is between the economy, sort of Michigan State and Tennessee, the football, basketball fan, you know, the prestige that the fans take of their programs, how it compares. I'm going to take that off the air, but on Facebook. Go ahead. I didn't ask the question very well. I'm sorry. I saw I was up against the time, but I really wanted to ask you that question.
Yeah, I mean, I think, you know, I mean, the football is still king. You know, like Michigan State has been a great basketball school for a long time. Tom Izzo, obviously, you know, has had a lot of success. I still have contended throughout that whole time it's still a football school. It's still, you know, college football still is more important. But, you know, I mean, it's a 15,000 seat arena that they basically sell out every game. You know, you'll have some empty seats up top for some lesser opponents. So I think with Tennessee reminds me a little bit more of Michigan, just massive size.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
There's massive fan base. So if you have a sport that is doing well, eventually they're going to come. But, you know,
I agree, yeah.
yeah, you know, like I think in the States there's just a lot of good basketball. I get frustrated around here because we have so many good teams, and I feel like it struggles to get traction. But you can't. I mean, look, if the Predators are gonna pack the place every night. People don't have unlimited disposable income, you know. So the Predators, I think, have really taken a chunk out of that. Because Lipscomb, Belmont, Middle Tennessee, you know, even TSU. I mean, there's some good hoops, and then of course, you know, Vandy and UT. So I think it's a great hoop state that doesn't get as much love as it should.
Well, I take that off here. I got to go to now Alex Doherty of On the Forecheck to talk about the Predators when I come back. So I'll let you go there. All right, bye.
Okay, thanks, Marky.
Sure, bye.